Welcome to Simply Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Stockham, and I am so glad that you are here investing in yourself. And today's conversation is going to be one where you're going to say, oh, I'm doing that, but oh, wait, that's new and different. And let's try that as well. Before we get to that, I want to say thank you to Glass Arts Collective, our paid sponsors for Reiki Claremont also, and then From Stress to Best. And as we bring in Christy Jones, if you have been watching and following along with us, Christy is somebody that we have had conversations with before. And no, she's not sitting in the dark. She is sitting outside where the sun is going to be rising, and we get to enjoy that together. Good morning, Christy. How are you as we record this?
Good morning, Sarah. I am fabulous. I'm outside waiting for the sun to rise and getting to talk to you. And what could be better?
It's just so exciting. Friend, you have some things that you're working on as a wellness coach, as somebody who is in classrooms talking about mindfulness and practices that students can do so that they are feeling better inside of themselves, not only in class, but also that they're taking it home and talking to their parents about it. And so what you are doing has such a huge impact. How did you get to where you are today, what you're working on?
The doors have opened, and I may have said this before. I am always very lucky that people or situations will come into my life and a door will open. And whether I know that that's the door at the exact moment, I say yes to it. And my pathway into schools has been that way of seeing a need when my daughter was sick, that not only was she sick, so my middle daughter, when she was 10 years old, had major digestive issues. And I was already involved in the schools and started seeing an opportunity to shift from the sodas and the cupcakes and the things like that we were serving as a PTA, and starting to bring in, real foods into the classroom for birthday parties. We started limiting it to, let's bring water, a little tiny sweet treat, and then let's bring our fruits and vegetables in. And then, when we did events, when we did carnivals, the fruits and the vegetables were free. And if you wanted to have popcorn or you wanted to have a sweet treat, then you paid for it. So starting there with my daughter's own school, and then being able to be invited into the school district and how can we make changes there, and then being introduced to other school districts. And it's been a beautiful journey.
Oh, it really, really has. And we actually met because you were, at the time I was still a classroom teacher, you were coming and working with teachers, helping us to see that there were things that we could be doing that would make a difference with our children in the classroom, with our students, and to see them truly as people first, and then the education part second. And it was just such an empowering time with all of us learning together, and you sharing just so clearly and so forthrightly that there are simple things that we can be doing. And I would love for us to start off with the conversation about hydration, because that's something that I am noticing makes a massive difference, not just in my digestion, but also in my brain and how I'm thinking and how I'm interacting with other people. You know a lot about this. Would you please share with us some of that?
I've been very interested in the topic of hydration, and I'm still learning too. So I would say, as I'm sharing, you might have listeners that can add to the conversation. And I believe what your show represents is a conversation. We're all sharing insights of the things that we're learning on this life journey. And, by no means am I an expert, but I love sharing what I've learned and what I'm finding is useful for myself, for my clients, and, for the students that I work with. And so, yeah, hydration, I feel like, is something we've been told. Drink water, make sure you drink your 8 glasses of water, and then you're going to be hydrated. Yet that's so far from the truth. Hydration is much more complicated than that. And one of the mentors that I've, recently been introduced to, once again, the right people show up at the right time, is a man named Dr. Jack Kruse. And have you had a chance to listen to some Dr. Jack Kruse yet, Sarah?
I have been reading, not listening yet, but reading. So when the video plays, I'm reading along at the bottom of it.
Okay. Awesome.
I haven't heard his voice yet.
Okay. I was in Maui this summer, and this young man was walking on the beach and, doing mindful walking, and then just facing the sun and getting full sun on his body. And I was just so impressed with this young man being so mindful of how he was caring for himself. And taking time to let the sun just shine on his skin. And he came up to talk to me. And I asked him, as I was observing his practices, I said, "Who inspires you right now?" And he said, "A man named Dr. Jack Cruz." He said, "Dr. Jack Cruz has changed my life." And his three main foundations that he works from is light, water, and magnetism. Most people, and me as well, when I started out in my coaching practice, focused so much on food. Food is
Yes.
important, but there's other things that we need to look at to actually, that are foundational for health. It's not just the food we put in our body. We have to have things going right in our body for our body to use that food properly.
Yes.
And part of that is hydration.
Mm.
Now, I've taken a deep dive of just learning from Dr. Jack Cruz and really appreciating the wisdom that he offers. And it's changed. It's added to what I teach about hydration. It's added to what I do with my clients personally. And the first tip that I've been teaching the students in this school year to hydrate our bodies is to get morning sunlight. And morning sunlight isn't just key for hydration, but it's for all the systems in our body. We need morning sunshine to get the melanin that we need so that we can have a good sleep at night. We need it to regulate all of our hormones. And our skin is literally like a solar panel. We need our skin without sunscreen on, no sunglasses on. Right now I really should not be wearing my glasses as I'm doing this because I'm actually blocking the sunlight that will be coming into my eyes. So no sunglasses, get your glasses off, and never miss a sunrise is one way that we hydrate our body, or as much as you can, get early morning sunshine. And that actually helps you hydrate. When we're hydrating our body, it's not about drinking water. It's about getting water into our cells, intercellular hydration.
Yes.
So one way we do that is that morning sunshine helps to intercellularly hydrate our body. So that's tip one. Tip two that I love teaching the kiddos just from my own toolbox that I learned in a program called Brain Gym is that when we hold water in our mouth, it helps us absorb it. It starts the absorption process. Normally when we're drinking water, if I have this right, this is what I've been shared with or been trained with, that when we're drinking water, it's going through the digestive system and it takes a while to absorb. However, if we take a sip of water and we hold it in our mouth for 5 seconds, you will notice that your mouth feels very different than when you drink a glass of water. You feel that you're actually absorbing that water immediately. And what they found in studies is that you have more energy flow in your body when you sip your water throughout the day.
Yes.
So it does take, it's another mindful tool of being aware. How often are you sitting at a desk and you've got your water right there? Take a sip of it every couple minutes, hold it for 5 seconds. And what they find in that is that we hydrate, we intercellularly hydrate, and you actually have less restroom trips. So often when we're drinking water, we are, we're like a pipe. It's just going through us. We're drinking it and we're peeing it out. And that's not hydration. It's getting it into the cells. And my understanding, the water in our cells is a crystalline structure. It's like Jell-O. And we're needing to get the water into that Jell-O-like structure or consume things that are already in that crystalline structure. Now, another way that we can increase hydration, and this is new to me, and I'm still learning this, once again, comes from Dr. Jack Cruz. He talks about how really healthy fats, eating salmon, our coconut oil is a big one. Like we know coconut oil is really good for our brain. Our olive oil, our, all of our good fishes that have, those healthy fats in it, and grass-fed beef, making sure that we're getting some of those great healthy fats first thing in the morning. And that actually helps us make water in our mitochondria, which we know our mitochondria is key for health. Now, if you want more information on that, check out Dr. Jack Cruz. I'm taking what I've learned from him and putting into what I do. And that just made so much sense to me. And it's also allowed me to start eating more in my health journey. I went more plant-based for a while
Mhm.
and come back to the importance of real proteins,
Yes.
getting the increasing my fish, increasing my grass-fed beef. One thing I haven't started increasing yet, and I'm contemplating it, is lamb. Another thing he
Mhm.
really recommends of how nutritious that is,
Mhm.
and healthy fats in that too.
Yeah.
So far we have early morning sunshine,
Mhm.
holding our water in our mouth for 5 seconds and sipping it throughout the day, and then consuming healthy fats first thing in the morning and throughout the day.
Yes.
And what I love about this is we're not parts, we're a whole system.
We are. Yes.
And the things that we're doing are meant to benefit our whole system. And you think about our brain health. We know our brain is mostly made out of fat and water. And so as we're hydrating our body, we're making sure we've got more water in our system, but we're also increasing those healthy fats. And then you think about, how does that affect our skin? How does that affect our joints? All these
Yes.
things are working for all parts of our body. And the goal is that we get to feel good.
Yes.
Now, let's see. So far we have those 3 tips. The other one that I love is that by eating our fruits and vegetables, they are
Mhm.
mostly water. And my
Right.
understanding is that they're, especially cucumbers, I don't know the science if all fruits and vegetables are like this, but I know cucumbers for sure have like the crystalline structure in them that we have
Mhm.
in our cells. When we're eating our fruits and vegetables, I always tell the kids, you're eating your water. Like, eat your water. And making sure we're getting those fruits and vegetables, especially cucumbers, because they are so hydrating for us. And yeah, so I think that's probably a good place on hydration. There, you've got some four tips on hydration
It's
that you can
beautiful.
play with.
I love that. And cucumbers are just so good. You get them when they are, fresh and tender, and they're just delicious. Ray, a quick break here. We'll be right back with more. Glass Arts Collective is doing something so fun and amazing. Believing that all of us are creative, they are opening up their Instagram page for people who are creating things to be able to post those things there. I also believe that you are creative, and I'm super excited about this opportunity to be supporting Glass Arts Collective. They are amazing. Do you like and admire the version of you that shows up under stress? From the point that we feel stressful circumstances show up in our life, there is about a 10-second window that we have to be able to not just manage, but prevent stress. And it's called the 10-second solution. If you are interested in more information about how you can prevent stress, I invite you to go to my Instagram. The handle is @SarahStockham, and go to the bio and sign up right now. Your future you deserves this information. You can actually have a great relationship with stress. Sign up now @SarahStockham. This conversation with Christy is such an important one because it's about things that we can do that are easy to do, but they're also easy to avoid, easy to not do. And so, as we're talking about things that are easy to do, I just want to reiterate that space of being able to drink the water, maybe add lemon into it. I know that lemon
Good
is
sea salt.
a, go ahead.
Yeah, a little good sea salt too.
Exactly. Those things make a difference for our body. I know that for us, I have been making eggs in the morning and using sea salt consistently because I want the minerals in there. And then I've also been making my own granola, and I'm making it with coconut oil because I want those beautiful things first thing in the morning as well. Christy, you were working on some other things. I'd love for you to share more about some things that you've learned that you've seen have been really helpful for people as they are wanting to reclaim their health.
Yeah. Most of the time, or much of the time, you know, I think people in general, and I think Sarah, you and I have both experienced this too, feel drained of energy.
Mm.
and are looking for ways to not just survive in life. So often we're just going from next thing to next thing and feeling really drained. And that sign, if we're feeling drained of energy, is a sign that something's not working right. And I feel like we don't always listen to those cues that we're pushing it past what's healthy for us. So one of the areas that I've been really fascinated in understanding energy is, how do we charge our own inner battery? How do we actually care for and nourish that life energy that we are? And it's taken to me, into becoming a health coach and teaching children, and, focusing on healthy food and focusing on hydration and getting outside and getting your feet barefoot on the ground. And also, something that's fascinated me for probably over 10 years is the study of the heart, and the work of Heart Math Institute on understanding that our heart is a brain, and that our heart rhythm is actually sending messages to the brain in our head, and is really what our heart energy is going to be what our energy is the message that's going to go to our brain. And from there, if we're in a coherent heartbeat, if we're feeling calm, peaceful, excited, joyful, creative, any of those renewing emotions, send that message to the brain, and the brain is able to then send the information to the rest of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and send it to the body. And so understanding that the heart plays a vital role in our health and well-being has fascinated me, as I was saying, for many years. And this summer, I certified as a heart coherence trainer, so that I can do large group trainings and bring this information out into the schools, with my clients as well. I feel like starting to understand the power of the heart, and how regulating and being aware of what we're feeling, and how we're responding, like our heart's going to respond to how we feel. Being aware of what we're feeling, and if we're feeling frustrated, angry, irritated, our heart rhythm is going to increase, like this incoherent rhythm, that by noticing that and shifting it into a slower rhythm, into coherence with our brain, we can drastically reduce our energy drains. So basically, learning about the power of our heart and heart-brain coherence is allowing me to teach people how to stop their energy drains and start increasing energy in their body, creating vitality hormones in their body by starting to understand the heart and the brain, how they work together, and simple techniques that are meant to do eyes open throughout your day. And to me, if I could only teach one thing, if I could only have one tool in my toolbox, it would be heart math. The thing most people probably are aware of once we say it is, Sarah, what do you think our number one energy drain is?
Our emotions.
You got it. Our emotions. So our heart is really controlling our brain, and what's controlling our heart is our emotions. And all of this is energy. We can't see it. So tuning into that inner world, we know our inner world. What we feel inside is how we're responding to our outer world.
Absolutely.
Right? And being able to tune and notice, I'm actually feeling frustrated right now. Slowing down, putting our awareness on our heart center, and slowing down our breath, and just focusing on our heart as if we're breathing from our heart. Just that, for doing that for 30 seconds for a minute, helps to shift out of that stress pattern and shifts our nervous system. So we're no longer draining our emotions. We may still have a situation we need to take care of, very likely, but now our heart and our brain are working together. And now we can access our brain power. We can make rational decisions. We can do it in a more calm state. And so, when is ever being frustrated or angry solved a problem? Never. But being able to be aware of it, shift our energy, and then be able to access the full potential of our brain and our heart together can make a huge difference. So I've always brought a little bit of that introduction to that work into the classroom with the kids, yet not being certified, I couldn't really, I could give them videos to watch, but now I can teach them the steps and the trainings and the processes. And I'll tell you, I have a room full of fifth graders that, fifth grade is a big time in a kid's life. There's a lot of changes. They're very self-conscious. And being able to walk them through a practice where in 1 minute they instantly feel more relaxed and comfortable in their own skin is really just makes my heart incredibly happy that they're learning tools for life.
Yes.
That can then be applied in any situation.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that makes people really attractive is their emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can help children understand, yes, adults, but if we can help children understand and help them to be able to navigate that they have this really important understanding that other people aren't necessarily being taught, and that having this space of activities that they can do when they feel what I would call heavier emotions can make such a difference in terms of who wants to be their friend as a result of that, because it's just so attractive. And then also the opportunity to impact other people's lives as well. It's just so good. And I think that, the heart and the breath are just so connected. I know when I'm taking yoga, I love the birds in the background. It just makes me smile. When I'm doing yoga, and the instructor was talking about, listen to the breath. She's really asking us to also use the breath to open up areas that are constricted or tight, or, and every single day feels different. And so in that space then of this coming into an acknowledgement of how we are breathing is also impacting our heart. But I love that space that you're talking about. Breathe from the heart. Allow the heart to be that space that is widening, that is allowing more oxygen to come in, more of the old to release as well. So good.
Yeah. And would it be okay if we just practice for 30 seconds?
Let's do it. Yes.
Yeah. So wherever you are, if you're able to, here's a beautiful thing. You can do this while you're driving because you can keep your eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you are, unless you're in a conversation talking to somebody, but if you were, you probably weren't listening to this. So I invite you, if it feels good, to put your hand on your heart. And if you're in a place where it feels good to close your eyes, go ahead. And if you want to keep your eyes open, go ahead and keep your eyes open. And I just invite you to bring your awareness to your heart center, the center of your chest. And imagine that you're breathing from your heart, just feeling that breath flowing in and out. And slow down your rhythm just a little bit. Find an easy rhythm for yourself. Some people like to breathe into the count of 5 and out to the count of 5. Just find an easy rhythm that feels good to you as you focus on the center of your heart, breathing from your heart. And Sarah, just kind of tune in and notice, what are you feeling in your body as we're doing this together?
I am aware that last night was not a great night of sleep for me, that there was a lot going on, and that I had gotten up in the middle of the night to take some notes just to get things out of my brain. I am aware that I ate breakfast and that feels good. But I'm also listening to the birds that are in the trees right outside of where you are, right above where you are, and just how absolutely beautiful that is, and that I do miss living close to you. It's good where we are, but hearing the birds is just a lovely thing.
Yeah. I definitely miss having you right around the corner from me, and grateful that we can have these connections. Yeah.
Yes.
And what I notice in doing this is just, all of a sudden I become present, and my body relaxes.
Yes.
And I can do this driving. I can do this even if I'm in a conversation with somebody. I don't have to have my hand on my heart. I can slow down my breath, focus on my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I'm actually resetting my nervous system, even if it's a conversation that's challenging or, it feels like there's a time crunch. We can shift our emotional state in any moment with that simple technique.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been proven that it totally resets our nervous system. And I just invite all of us to let's be present to that today. Play with it, that we take time throughout our day to focus on our heart and focus on slowing down our breath and see what you notice throughout the day. When I was doing my heart math certification, we were on the screen for 9 hours. And throughout the day, we would take time to do not, this is the starter technique, but other techniques too.
Sure.
When I got off the screen, I was so energized, and I thought, isn't that beautiful how when we do have very simple intentional practices, we can be in front of a screen, which we know drains our energy, and not drain our energy.
Right.
And, it really is possible that we can be in life, we can be doing things that we can do all the things, and we can actually stop those energy drains, refocus our energy, and start bringing renewing energy into our body.
Yes.
So beautiful. And so, I'm bringing it into the schools. I'm launching a program in a couple weeks that I'm going to be combining the power of nature and heart math together, of really empowering people to get outside at sunrise. So we're starting the workshop outside at sunrise.
Why not?
And to understand that what I love is there's simple practices that we can do that don't cost anything.
Right.
The sun doesn't cost anything. Putting water in your mouth doesn't cost anything. Yes, getting good fruits and vegetables is a little bit more of an investment, but it's a very well worth it investment.
Yes.
And focusing on your breath and learning the power of your heart. Once you have those tools, that's free too.
So incredible.
And it's inspiring to me that so much what we can do for our health is affordable and practical and doable. And I think that's both what you and I, Sarah, have really strived for in our own journeys and what we want to share with people.
Absolutely. Christy, as a result of multiple conversations that we've had through the years about how important it is to get outside and how important it is to ground, and then more recently, these conversations about early morning sun, I've been walking in the morning. That has been something that's at different points in my life has been the time of day that I've wanted to get outside and walk. It's been early morning. But Michael built a bench recently, and we intentionally moved it 2 days ago so we can sit and watch the sunrise, or be there so that when the sunrise. And then we moved it just so that we can turn, if you're sitting on one particular end, turn, then watch the sunset as well. And so just that space of, again, little things that we can be doing. He's been creating these benches, and we've been putting them in different places in the yard, and to really just have that space to be outside, to observe nature, but also to be able to take in the goodness and watch the small things that are happening, the plants that are growing and what's taking place with that. For somebody who is living much further north in the wintertime, or much further south below the equator during their winter time, are there electronic suns that people can be using to be getting more sunlight?
Yeah. I would say still my understanding, and once again, I'm going to put it out there and see if anyone else knows as well too. My understanding is even getting outside, even if it's a winter month, the sun has a full spectrum of light.
Yes.
And unless you're living somewhere without any sun at all, I would say we still get sun. And getting outside to get that full spectrum of light on your face, even if it's cold out there. Cold exposure is really good for us too. So maybe getting out with not so much on and then running back in and getting warm. I don't know. That's just a thought. Whatever you can do to get natural light, do it, would be my number one recommendation. I I don't feel qualified to recommend
Mm-hmm.
things that could be used. I know red light therapy can be really good. Dr. Jack Cruz will not recommend a red light therapy unit or device until he meets with somebody. He does do sessions online.
Mm-hmm.
So, so much of what we see online, we don't actually know if it's effective.
So true.
What I do know is reducing your exposure to blue light is
Yes.
really important. We are being exposed to way too much blue light. If you can replace your LED lights with the incandescent bulbs, I know they're banned and they're hard to find and they're supposed to be off the market in 2026, but you can still order them online. So I've replaced my LED lights with incandescents because they are a full spectrum of light. You are not harming your body. Our blue lights, our LED lights and our fluorescent lights are actually raising people's blood sugar. As much as you can, use natural light would be a huge tip, and reduce your amount of time to screens just as much as you can, especially at night. Blue light is really, really damaging to us. So I'd say do what you can to get whatever amount of sunlight you can in the area that you're in. Know that cold exposure is really good, and that might be something that you maximize the cold exposure because you're living in colder climates that are not as easy for places as California. And then reduce your exposure to your blue light and look into incandescent lights. Now, I mean, it's interesting to me because if we know incandescent lights actually have all the spectrums of lights, I truly believe in the research that I've been in that we are being controlled by light in our society. And it was Obama that got rid of, banned incandescent lights. And, I just believe question everything. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think we need to question, why would we ban something that actually gives us a full spectrum of light to something that actually causes our blood sugar to increase? We're told, it saves electricity, it saves energy. You know what? I'm not concerned about the energy for that. I'm concerned about my own life energy and your life energy and our children's life energy that I feel is literally being drained from us. So we have to ask questions and not be afraid to ask questions, because truth is going to hold up to questioning. And if it doesn't hold up to questioning, it's not truth. And I think we have in it. And if you're interested in going on this rabbit hole, you can look up Dr. Jack Cruz. He talks about it. But it actually goes back to the mafia started controlling us with light in Vegas. And starting to see they no longer had to try and force people to give them money, but you put them in a dark room with lights and slot machines and all that, and people will gladly give you their money. So
fascinating.
I just invite people to be courageous and to question. And if something doesn't feel right to you, question it. We're really at a place of needing to stand for our health, knowing that our food has been compromised, our air has been compromised, like so many areas of our health. We are now the sickest nation in the world.
It's truly amazing to me. And I read the headline, didn't read the whole article yesterday, but it made international news that Southern California has more than the recommended amount of plastic in the air. And that just got my attention, because I think of California as being, the land of the poppy seeds, right? Just the beautiful rolling hills and the gorgeous coast that's there, and the bridges that were built that are just so iconic, and being able to drive that coast, and how incredible that trip was of driving the coast. And coming to this place of saying, there's more plastic in the air than what's supposed to be there. And that just got my attention in a sad way. That so I do think that there are things that we can do to mitigate those things that can be investments for people if they're interested in looking in that. And I know that I don't have the plant right here, but it's what's called some people will call it a snake plant, or a snake tongue plant.
Yes.
That was actually the very first TED Talk that I ever watched. Was somebody who had a company in India, a manufacturing company. They wanted to clean the air in a natural way, and they just began putting in lots of these plants. And the difference in formaldehyde, I couldn't believe that an indoor plant could do that much work on our behalf. And so ever since I saw that TED Talk, I've always had snake plants in every level of the house, and sometimes multiples of them in a level, just because they clean and they are fairly easy to take care of. Even here where it gets quite cold, we were down to -3 last winter, and so I didn't have things right against the window. There was a little bit of a space there, and one of the things that we are doing to upgrade and to get better light here is that we are actually upgrading the last 6 remaining original windows to this particular home. And so excited about that because of the light. But they will also, what we have right now in these 6 are single pane, we'll go to double pane, which will then also just provide a little bit more. I can move plants closer to the window in the wintertime and not be as concerned, right, about them, being unhappy. But even that, where we live, we take all the plants off of the porch, our screened-in back porch, and we get them ready for winter, and then we put them into the garage and close the door every night to the garage. But we do that in the summertime anyway. And that it's just warm enough in there for them to hang out and to have resting time. And I hadn't thought about that because I lived at the equator for so long that, things just grew all the time. There wasn't any reason for things to have to rest. And here, because it's so different, plants do appreciate that resting experience. And so then that got me starting to think a little bit more about, what about our own lives? Are we listening to the seasons? Oh, the sun is coming up, Christine. It's just so beautiful how it's up. Are we listening to the seasons? Are we in sync at some point besides our wardrobe? Are we in sync in some ways to what's taking place in the seasons? And are we allowing that beautiful natural change of seasons to be something that's informing our decisions in some ways? And that's been something I've been contemplating for a while.
That makes so much sense, that it's not just changing our clothing, but we know that our food changes during the seasons.
Yes.
And, it's an invitation to eat seasonally as well, too, because in wherever we live, those are the best foods for our body.
Yes.
And so that's going to help our body do all the things that it's meant to do. And, what you talk about, and shared with me, Sarah, is that there's different seasons. Like winter, we are meant to rest more.
Yes.
When we're, there's certain seasons that we're meant to be really productive, and there's certain seasons we're meant to rest. And I think listening to that as you've been contemplating and sharing with your community is really important.
Yes. And I think part of that place of rest also is to honor it. As a society that really spends a lot of our time in our brain and wanting to succeed and wanting to be successful and I am not downplaying any of those things at all. I think it's lovely to have conversations with people who are witty and smart and, that are completely there. I think it's also, though, and great to be productive. Love that. I think also, though, in this space of us listening to our breathing comes also a space potentially of, can I be looking at my life and creating patterns that will go along with the seasons? I know that for myself, I open up a 12-month calendar and begin to put people's birthdays on there, and then I want to put down when we're going to have our family time, our vacation, get those things in place, because for me, those are just so important. They're sacred. And then after that, start putting in the things for work, and then noticing where it's going to be the best time for us to be planting and best time for us to be harvesting, and during the harvest time to be not connected into so many different appointments that I need to be away for, that I'm more available here, right? Just learning these kinds of things, but still wanting to be really productive through the year, and wanting also with that to be really connected with people, connected in a way that is, I just think that community makes all of the difference. And whether that community is online and or in person, I know that there can be huge debates about that. For me, if you can find a community and they happen to be online, go with that community.
Yes.
If you can't find them in person, find them someplace else. And to be able to be encouraging each other. And that's one of the reasons why we do this show every single week, is that space of gifting energetic tools, talking about things that actually work, stretching our minds to things that we perhaps haven't contemplated, but also coming into a place of what else could we be doing? What else works? What do I need to be looking at that I had fully forgotten about? And this is a good time for me to be bringing that back into what I'm working on.
Yeah. And especially right now, energetically, in the time that we're in,
Yes.
after the solar eclipse and the new moon, that's about that time as well too. And what you're saying is, so often we're in our brain.
Mhm.
However, when we can connect to our heart holds so much wisdom, and we can be even more productive by learning how to tune into our heart. You were saying breath, our breath is connected to our heart. And as we're aware of our breath, that's really tapping into our heart wisdom. And even asking our heart, as you're planning your day, and maybe you have your list, going into your heart focused breathing and asking your heart, what wisdom do you have for me today about my list? What are my priorities? What can you share with me? And your heart will answer you, and it will be a very different answer. And all of a sudden, what I have found is, this list of 10 things I had, maybe it comes down to the two most important things that actually are taking me in the direction that I need to go.
Yes.
And, yeah. So there's a huge place for that, coming into our heart and allowing, we will actually be more productive, but we're going to be productive in a calm, intentional, connecting way.
And when we do that, creativity flows in a whole different way, and we can get so much more done in less time. Now, that's not for me, it's not the end goal. I'm not looking to get more done in less time. I do want to get things done and not have to repeat them, not have to fix them later on, because I was, the first time I did it or the second time I did it, I was still rushed and not thinking clearly and not focused on I was more concerned about the time than I was about what I was working on. But I love how you talk about that space also. That's so critical, that when we are listening internally. And I was teaching a class on Tuesday night, From Stress to Best, and we were talking specifically about life design tools. And as we were having this conversation, this space of, writing down, yes, if you don't get something done at the end of the day that you feel and still needs to get done, circle it. And then that becomes something that you can look at putting in later on. Maybe it is the next day, maybe it's several days away, maybe it's into next week. And then have another list potentially that's just about things I just need to keep my eyes on. And to have those things where you can easily find them, not as shaming, not as guilt, but as these are things that I just need to be keeping my eyes on as I'm doing all the things that we call life.
Yeah. Yeah. Being intentional, from that place of kindness and compassion to ourselves and our journey. And, once again, it goes back to our emotions. If we're feeling guilt or shame that we didn't get something done, now what message are we sending up to our brain? Now that it goes to our amygdala, and that amygdala cannot send the information to our prefrontal cortex, and we're not going to be in that creative, focused place, and we're going to feel that tightness in our body. And that tuning into, what am I actually experiencing? What am I telling myself right now? Am I actually beating myself up? Or can I say, wow, today, I had a teacher one time that said, if you can get to the end of the day and say, that was enough, you will be free.
Yes. Oh, I love that. You were talking about guilt and shame. And I really appreciated a previous guest that we had. Julie Bull was talking about this. She has been trained by Brene Brown and done tons of that work and led those different trainings. But in the space of shame, it is something that people think about. And what they are saying is, I am bad. I am irrevocably broken. I am whatever that happens to be. That's the shame piece. And the guilt is, I have done. If we can move to the guilt place of I have done, we can flip that into something of, I have done that in the past, but now I'm going to, and now I'm taking care of, and now I'm and move out of that place. But that was just super helpful languaging for me to hear that, the difference between shame and guilt. And they are heavier emotions, but guilt is one that you can move out of in a different way. And we can have internal conversations when we are feeling shame to say, do I still, the standard that is causing me or has been causing me to say that I am bad, is that standard really one that is worth, is it one that I still believe? Is it something that society said, that someone else said? And coming to that internal conversation, we can have these conversations. We don't need to be just living underneath the weight of things that have happened that may or may not have been to our doing. And so I think just knowing that we can have those internal conversations that in of itself can be so empowering.
It's been a game changer for me. And I'd say, most of the time it is coming from someone else. It's not our stuff that we're carrying, it's something that someone said or we picked up and interpreted as a kid, and really realizing like that, it's not true. And having the process, like you were saying, of being able to actually look at it, notice where it's coming from, and realize it's not your story, but talking to that inner child that just so wants to be loved, and knowing how loved he or she is really a beautiful, there's so many beautiful tools that we have in our toolbox to really live a life of caring for our energy and noticing when we're draining ourselves, and being able to make, put things in place that, very intentionally to nurture ourselves. And as we do that, we're able to show up for how we want to for others as well.
Absolutely. That's so good. Christy, are there things that you would like to reiterate in our conversation?
Get outside. I've heard that so often from Dr. Zach Bush too, like we are nature, get out into nature. And being able to take what Zach Bush has said and Dr. Cruz has, or Jack Cruz has said, is so like, it's deep into my understanding of how important it is. We need to rewild ourselves. We need to spend as much time. How can you be more wild in your life, more adventurous in your life, and build that connection with nature? We are nature. Everything in ourselves, our mitochondria, all these parts of us just thrive, wherever we are. If we're close to the equator, we're not close to the equator. How can we be a little more, a little more wild? Would be my message. And do this with our kids as well. Our kids, I truly believe, are having the life zapped out of them with all the screens, and they need us to help them reconnect them to who they truly are. So whatever wild looks like to you, to whatever getting out in more nature looks to you, that would be my invitation. And have a whole lot of fun and bring people with you, because we need that connection.
Oh, that's so good, Christy. Yes, I fully agree with that. Thank you so much, friend, for taking time to be with us today. It's just so good to connect, and the wisdom that you share is something that our listeners really appreciate.
Thank you. I always love our time together.
It's good. Thank you. And so in this space, we are going to just encourage you, yes, to get outside. And this next short one is going to be telling you, or you get to see pictures of somebody being outside. Let this inspire you to also figure out how you can get outside. Until next time.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I am the founder and owner of Lamano Art. I began this business over 20 years ago. I specialize in paintings of all kinds. I make murals, portraits, and live paintings. My specialty is color and also telling a story. Some of the work that Lamano Art does are calligraphy pieces, wedding invitations, sign work, and sculptures like fairy doors. I'm open to working with anyone on any idea. Please feel free to contact me at your convenience, and I look so forward to talking to you. Thank you.